is Cascadia. Welcome back to my video. We're going to do a random heroic dungeon run. We're in Cataclysm, and the dungeon that we're doing right now is called Stonecore. And as you can see, it's a pretty interesting dungeon. I think that as a healer, it is not a boring one, so there's quite a lot to do. It really depends on the skills of your group and how good everyone is at mitigating the damage and crowd control as well. As you can see right now, there's a lot going on my screen, so the first group will be very challenging. So what I do as Holy Priest is most of the time just get all Marino up on everyone pretty much in the beginning, and then hope that everyone knows which mob to focus on. The most interesting thing is that when you notice that they're not focusing on damage, so when your group is not focusing damage, it could get pretty ugly pretty fast. And it's not the first time that I've noticed, wipes right at the first trash mob. So, I mean, as a new healer, it can be quite daunting. So, yeah, you can see right now everyone's taking a lot of damage, and I think I don't know if I lost someone right there, but we had our fair share of deaths in this run. Yeah, I think I lost someone right there. So you can see that that's pretty intense. Yeah. So when that happens, I just focus on the tank. So when that happens, I just focus on healing just the tank. And yeah, sacrifice someone, so to speak. Yeah. Well, as you move down the road, down this path, we will see the first boss. And it's a pretty interesting one. I have seen groups that skip the boss, which I don't really quite understand because it's quite fun to do. But, well, he's not easy. So the first thing to do is to avoid any crystal shards coming down from crystal shards that the boss will be placing on the ground. So you should be running out of that. And at some point of time, the boss will bury himself, so he will start to go underground. And you will see that at the spaces where underground where the boss will dig, the ground will be disturbed. So if you don't avoid that, you can get quite a lot of damage. And well, most of the time, if you're wearing just cloth, like myself, you pretty much don't survive. So we'll see, we'll take a look. This is our first attempt, and I'm gonna put down his abilities like Crystal Barrage, Dampening Wave, Crystal Shards. It's pretty tricky, so there's a lot of moving involved, so you can't really stay put on one spot. With this boss, he is brutal, so one of the hardest ones to do. So that was the dampening wave that you just see me mass dispelling. That debuff will absorb healing, and the tricky part is to heal at the same time, but also be able to throw out a mass dispel at the same time, and that's when it gets quite interesting. So there you see that the boss has gone underground, and you got lots of players not getting out of the way, so they pretty much instantly died. So yeah, and I got caught up as well, as you can see, and that hurt pretty much. And as the mobs came down on me, that was it. So this was a show wipe, because I really didn't think it would make any sense healing the tank, because the boss is still at pretty much at 36%, and yeah, we decided to just give it another go. So at the second attempt, we changed our strategy and reminded the players who are not moving to move and to get out of the crystal barrage, um, and to avoid all the damage. So as you can see, I'm trying to master spell, and one of the damage dealers are killing the crystal shards, because they do follow, so they will come after you and they will just kill you if you don't kill them first. Yeah, so they did quite a good job in this one. It was pretty good. And I was running for my life, so I was just getting my shield up. I have body and soul skilled on my shield, so that I can move faster, like about 60% faster. Yeah, so that helped, and I think in between I even took a swiftness potion just so I could just run as far away from that dust as possible. Yeah, so this is pretty much it, really. Avoid the crystals, run away from the boss when he's underground, and AoE the crystal shards. And that's about it. Yeah, and Master Spell, that's about it. Save the tank. He almost died just there. Um, and yeah, and this is the fun thing about being a holy priest. I do enjoy active healing, so in compared to the disciplined priest, so I want to see that healing happening. So I think it's quite there's a thrill to it. So I don't really enjoy mitigating or absorbing those heals. I just go ahead and heal it up. So it reminds me of, you know, that hit the mole game where you just get a hammer and yeah, see how fast you can react. So that's pretty interesting. So it was quite a fun fight right there, and nobody died. Everyone survived, and yeah, I put up a divine hymn in the end, just so we can get through the fight. Yeah. So after a couple of trash mobs, we come to the second boss, which is a Drake-like boss. He's called Slabhide. He will do Sandblast, Eruption, and Crystal Storm. One of his abilities, which is Crystal Storm, depends on line of sight. So all you have to do is to block that line of sight, which means to hide when he is doing his Crystal Storms. The tricky part about being a healer in this fight is that when the boss isn't, how do I say, well, if he's not, if he is really positioned in a way that you can't see the tank, that can be quite dramatic. And especially when he is taking a lot of damage, like right now, he's casting Crystal Storm, and what I'm doing is I'm just hide behind the stones. So yeah. And before the pool of lava appears under your feet, you will see the ground being disturbed. So that should be the warning that you should walk out of that lava pool. Well, before it erupts. Yeah, so as you can see, everyone's taking moderate damage, and I'm spamming Prayer of Healing, Greater Heals, Flash Heals, and that's about it. So just keep everyone alive, make sure they're walking out of the lava pools. And sometimes I just put up a light well. I mean, I don't expect everyone to use it, but the ones who are smart, they do, and that helps. And they'll most of the time they'll be the ones who will survive if it gets pretty messy. Well, this next boss is quite interesting. Ozruk is one of the most, I think he's the most interesting boss in Stonecore because he has an ability that has a chance to reflect any spell damage, and he will do quite a lot of damage to any players standing around him. So the hardest part for me in this group right now is that the rest of the group members are melee, so they are not range damage dealers. They have to go straight up to the boss to fight. So that's the challenge that I got, and you'll see what I mean because it was not easy to get to them, so to heal them, because everyone just has to be so close to the boss. And yeah, so the most important thing is shatter. So he will do shatter in that range of shatter. So you will see the ground being marked, and you should run out of that as soon as possible. And I was being very smart in this one, as you can see as we go along. He is going to do shatter, and one ability that he will do is paralyze. And I didn't know at this point of the game, in the battle, that you should put up a very light damage over time on the boss. So that paralyze, when he's in that state, or when we're in that state, any damage done to him will be reflected back to you, and that will take you out of that paralyzed state. So that's me paralyzed and not being able to move or free myself because I didn't put a damage over time on the boss. So that was not very smart. And yeah, I came too close at some point, couldn't walk out, and was already paralyzed, as you can see it coming right now. And he one-shot me straight away. So everyone else ran out, and I couldn't. And yeah, I had the privilege to heal as a spirit healer. But it was nice. One of them resurrected me. I think it was the paladin. Yeah, and that was really nice. Oh no, it was actually the tank. He actually, he took me back. He brought me back to life, so that was good. Yeah, well, after a couple more trashes, we get back to the last boss. This is the High Priestess. Forgot her name. Azil? Emil? I don't know. Something like that. I wrote it down. But she is, yeah, Azil is, well, she's easy if everyone knows what to do. She would do force grip, which you have to interrupt, gravity well, which you have to run out of, get away from, like far, far away. But also she will do seismic shot, and that's quite easy to avoid. I mean, you'd have to be so slow not to be able to avoid that one. Yeah. So well, that's gravity well. You can see it's like purple circle around you, and if you go anywhere near that, it will suck you straight in. And then, well, the closer you are to the center of it, the more damage you will get, and it will instantly almost kill you. So what I do as a healer is I stay on this part of the field because she's going to spawn mobs. And as you can see, the devout followers, they will run straight at me naturally because I'm the healer and I get heal aggro, and the tank is going to be most of the time with the boss and not be able to get to the mobs while they're running at me. So what I do is I position myself right behind gravity, so I don't, I don't have to deal with them. They just run straight at me and they die because they have to run through the gravity. So that is one strategy that you can use as a healer, and it's kind of, I mean, it will take the something off the mind of the tank. So as you can see, that's the meteor is coming down. So just avoid that and you're good. So when I do get aggro, I just either run to a melee or I just fade. I just use my ability fade. So either or, it really doesn't matter. I just try to avoid um, yeah, running straight into the gravity. Yeah. Well, they don't really do much damage, but they could be quite a nuisance, especially when you have like 10 or 15 of them running at you at the same time. So just try not to go too far away from the group so that the damage dealers can help you out if you get aggro. So, well, if you can see right now, we successfully brought her down and and finished the dungeon.